Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today here on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing the Lawn Fawn Reveal Wheel card, my first card using this set. So to start off with, I've taken a piece of white heavyweight cardstock, cut to just slightly larger than 5.5 by 4.25, and I'm taking my Distress Oxide ink and blending that on a blending tool all across the middle. To darken up what is going to be the sky, I'm using some Blueprint Sketch over the top of that, leaving some of the wilted violet exposed. Around the top edges, I'm going in with some chipped Sapphire Distress ink. I'm kind of using that in an arc motion. And just to darken up a little bit more, I am taking some black Soot Distress ink. And then I will set that aside to dry off. Now I'm taking some white cardstock. This is textured and slightly metallic, and I've run 2 layers of that through my die cut machine. These are going to form my snowbanks. I'm taking my Lawn Fawn Lawn Fawn Stitch Hillside borders and run those through my die cut machine, and I also take the Lawn Fawn Forest border die and run a 3rd piece through that die cut machine. I'm bringing back my ink blended panel and lining everything up just to give me a rough idea of how it's going to look. And for my trees in my card, I wanted to have them coloured, so I took some green glittery card. I ran it through my die cut machine. I cut off the tree portions and I'm now gluing them with my tweezers and a glue pen, and I'm just adhering those down one by one onto that piece of card, just to give them a bit of colour. I didn't really want white trees in my background. So there we go, that's how they look. I thought they looked super cute. So you will notice that when I ran that over my die cut machine, I forgot the little speech bubble. So I ran that through my die cut machine separately. I also cut out the little frame from some white cardstock. This is the same cardstock that I've used for the snowbanks. And before I press down completely, I decided that actually I didn't want that little speech bubble piece. So I snipped that off with my scissors. And then I'm happy to adhere that down. So now I'm just taking some clean, clear water on a paintbrush. And to distress the sky, to make it look like snow, I'm just putting some water droplets on there and then taking that out with a paper towel. I wanted a bit more snow, so I took my Copic Opaque white paint onto an acrylic block, watered that down with some water with a paintbrush. I am then flicking that all over the top. Ideally, I should have done this before I adhered that little speech bubble frame. But as you'll see in a minute, I just took a piece of tissue and wetted that a little and just wiped that off. To give the illusion of some snow on my trees, I just went in with a white gel pen, popped some of that on the tops of the trees and onto what would be the branches, just to make my scene more realistic. So I apologise for the lighting in this, but what I've made is a little template for my reveal wheel. And I'm taking the stamps in the holiday sentiments for the reveal wheel into my Misti. I'm lining them up onto my little template there. And they're very sticky, so I had to rearrange them a couple of times. But once I've got them into my template, I close my Misti door, lift them up, and then pop on my die cut reveal wheel, which is going to actually be part of my card. Secure that down with my magnets, and then I've inked my stamps up today with Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I do that a couple of times to make it nice and dark. And now I'm going to adhere my snowbanks. I'm using some liquid adhesive for this, and then I take those trees and I only apply glue to the base of my snow panels so that I can slot things in easily, especially when it comes to adhering my little characters, which you'll see in a bit. So I'm now laying that last snowbank. I've now taken an A2 size card base and just layered a piece of just pale blue cardstock on there. And now I'm going to start putting the reveal wheel together. So I've got a brad, the smaller circle in the set, the die set, and I've turned it upside down, and now I'm just adhering some foam tape to that smaller circle, which is closest to the brad. My brad is quite protruding, if that makes sense. So in an ideal world, I'd either have a flatter brad or thicker foam tape. So just bear that in mind when you're making this card. This is all I could get. But I'm just cutting some little squares of foam tape and then removing that release paper and then securing down the opposite side of that brad. So you can see it spins round. Now I'm taking my card panel, securing that down with some washi tape, because I want to make sure that I don't put any foam tape where that reveal wheel mechanism is going to need to turn. Otherwise, if I put foam tape in the reveal wheel's way, it won't turn. So I just secure my reveal wheel with some washi tape so that it doesn't move while I'm doing this process. So I've covered all of the back of that with foam tape. I've removed that washi tape now, and now I'm going to line everything up. I should have probably removed foam tape from the back of that card panel, but I didn't. So that reveal wheel is now stuck down. I remove my release papers from my foam tape, get my reveal wheel lined up, which will help me secure down that card panel that I've created. So there we go, I've pressed everything down and it works and everything looks fairly lined up, so I'm really happy about that. Now I'm taking just a piece of plain white cardstock, and this is going to be my sentiment for my card. So I've used the Hope You're and the Christmas Is stamps from the stamp set, all of which will be linked down in the description box below and also on my blog. And to cut this out, I've used a sentiment die from CC Designs Maker Card number 17. It's got some nice stitching around it, but I'm doing some partial die cutting because I just want a rectangle and the stitching all the way around. So I pop some liquid adhesive on the back of that and secure that down. So it's going to read, Hope Your Christmas Is, and then you have the reveal wheel sentiments below. So just getting that lined up, making sure it's nice and straight. And I've done a quick bit of colouring here today. I have done a couple of the elves, and the colours I have used are listed on the screen and also the description box below, and also on my coordinating blog post, which will be linked in the description box as well. I have also done another card using these little stamps. I will link that here on the screen, and also I will link to that video in the description box below. That video included more red colours. I've used quite a lot more greens in this one for my elves. And also I use a lot of my cool greys for things like the paper and the clothing accessories on these little elves. Some very light beigey tones for the skin and a brown for the hair, some little pink for the cheeks. Just moving on to my red. This has been my favourite red combo for this year. R27 is new to my collection and I'm really liking it for my Christmas red, mixed in with my R39 and R59. Just popping on some browns for my North Pole sign. Little bit of grey to shade the white on the pole, and then I also take in some BG10 for the snow. I didn't do any shading, it's quite a small area. And I cut those out with the coordinating dies, and then I can start adhering my cuties to my scene. I'm just using your Nuvo liquid adhesive for this, It gives me a little bit of time to wiggle things around, get things lined up straight, so I really like using that, and it dries really quickly. Popping a couple of presents down into my scene, and I use quite a lot of the candy canes. I'd coloured up quite a few of these just while I've been watching telly and wanted to try and get a few of them onto my card. Popping some black gel pen onto the eyes, and I thought my sky was looking a little bit bare. I thought it needed to be lifted off the card a little. So I cut out some snowflakes from a die from Crafting Desert Divas, the Snowflake border die set. It has the frames in that set, but also has a little die where you can cut out these snowflakes, which I thought was super cute. So again, that textured metallic cardstock, and I also cut out the little arrow from that same cardstock, so it matches the snowbanks. And there my card is spinning, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. It is my first attempt. So that's the inside of the card. I hope you enjoyed my video today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'd love for you to like my video if you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more videos, maybe consider subscribing, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good day. Bye.